This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 8th day of May in the year 2019. Here's what we're tracking tonight. The president's decision to turn down all of the opposition leaders' nominees for the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission and make an appointment of his own appear to be the main area of contention during the appeal hearing of the appointment at the Caribbean Court of Justice today. Senior counsel Douglas Mendez, who's representing the interest of the appellant Zulfikar Mustafa, told the judges of the CCJ that there were no consultations or discussions between the president and the opposition leader prior to the request for the opposition leader to submit his nominees. While admitting that the leader of the opposition never requested dialogue or consultations before the submission of the first list, the attorney said the obligation was on both the president and the opposition leader to meet with each other.
No, he did not, and we the point that we have made is that the obligation was on both of them to meet with each other. So both of them, in those circumstances, did not.
Govern.
That's correct.
That's exactly the point I was going to make, and there's a degree of disquiet that I feel with this court having to decide these kinds of issues, particularly, as you said, an exchange that.
Yes.
The reasons given by the president would then be reviewable.
Yes.
Now, it seems to me that, as my brother just said, to avoid all of this, and I think it's desirable to avoid all of this, that there should be, quote-unquote, meaningful consultation, so that the two political leaders in the country arrive at a decision that both can live with. And I think it's a tragedy, to be honest, that we're here in this way.
Yes.
I wouldn't have thought that anybody wants the court to be the ultimate decider, or put another way, to get too intrusive in the process.
The senior counsel argued that once the president rejected the nominees, he should have given reasons for his rejection. The attorney is asking the court to throw out the ruling of the Guyana Court of Appeal, which found that the appointment by the president was lawful. However, the attorney also told the court that owing to the other matters that will come up before it on Thursday and Friday, dealing with the no-confidence motion and the appeals, the court might be asked to suspend its order if it rules to throw out the GCOM appointment of its chairman. Meanwhile, the attorneys representing the Guyana Attorney General in the matter argued to the court that the president was within his right to make an appointment based on his own deliberate judgment. The two Barbadian attorneys, Queen Counsel Hal Gallup and Ralph Thorne, both told the CCJ that the president followed the Constitution and did not need to provide any reason for his decision to turn down the opposition leader's nominees. Both attorneys were grilled by the judges of the CCJ.
Now, dialogue on acceptability, I've submitted earlier, is solely within the judgment of the president.
So I think I get your submission. As far as you're concerned, one, the leader of the opposition, his responsibility is to submit the names of persons who are eligible.
Indeed, my Lord, Your Honor.
And it is solely for the president to find whether these eligible persons are or are not acceptable. That there is no scope in the Constitution for president to have any discussion with the leader of the opposition about his non-unacceptability or otherwise of persons either proposed or intended to be proposed. That's your submission.
Well, persons submitted.
Persons submitted.
And that it is probably too much of an expedition to ask the president to engage in dialogue prior to the submission of the list.
The judges did not give a date for the handing down of their ruling, but they indicated that they will inform the parties in the matter when they decide on that ruling. More news coming up in just a moment.
Hey, babe. Hello? Is Don Me quite just done?
Buddy, you need to switch to GTT Fab 5.
Fab 5?
Activate the GTT Fab 5 plan today. For only $5,005, you get free unlimited calls to 4 of your closest family and friends, 5 gigs of data plus 250 text messages, and your Fab 5 friends can call you for free. GTT Fab 5.
Wicked for 5.
The future is green. Let's help you experience the future with easy financing for your business or home. Be it for solar energy, water treatment recycling, water filters, energy-saving appliances, or wind power projects. Enjoy competitive interest rates, fast approvals, and discounted lending services fees, low equity contribution, and flexible repayment. Visit us for details or go to www.gbtibank.com or email us at banking@gbtibank.com. GBTI, we see Guyana through your eyes.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Welcome back. Well, in light of an audit report that found several instances of improprieties at a special organized crime unit of the Guyana Police Force, President David Granger today indicated that the unit will continue to function, but the government will be ensuring that the public confidence is restored to the unit. Speaking on the sidelines of an event at his office this morning, President Granger reminded that SOCU is a unit of the Guyana Police Force, and the head of SOCU is also a police officer.
Well, the SOCU is an integral part, an organic part of the Guyana Police Force, and the head of SOCU is a police officer, and the police commissioner and the Minister of Public Safety presumably will take the necessary action to ensure that the unit continues to enjoy the confidence of the public. I have taken note, and I agree with the Minister of Public Security that in the event that there has been any impropriety or misconduct, disciplinary action be taken. It is an organic part of the police force, and it is not a free agent. It is not a loose cannon, and we'll ensure that the public confidence in SOCU is restored.
The audit of SOCU found evidence of several fraudulent activities at the unit, ranging from backdated checks to companies being hired for services without proper payment plans in place or documentation. The investigation also found the falsifying of various financial records belonging to the unit. The audit team has recommended a transfer of the head of SOCU, Assistant Commissioner Sidney James, and a number of other staff members. SOCU is currently probing a number of high-profile cases, including cases involving members of the former government. It has filed charges against a number of former members of the last government in relation to various alleged cases of fraud. Well, let's tell you now that since the opening of the first sexual offences court in Georgetown back in 2017, 53 cases have found their way through the court. Of those 53 cases, there were 33 convictions and 20 acquittals. Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Cummings Edwards, made those revelations yesterday during the opening of the Sexual Offences Court in Berbice. She also noted that many of the cases of sexual offences were against children.
So the aim of the Sexual Offences Court is at best to minimize re-victimization of survivors of sexual violence. The Sexual Offences Court seeks to minimize this by providing the facilities that would support victims as they give their evidence.
In the Berbice region, there are currently a total of 37 cases involving sexual offences. Justice Cummings Edwards said with a new court in the district, the cases will be dealt with in a way which respects the dignity and privacy of the victims. The Sexual Offences Court provides for video testimony from a location outside the courthouse. There are also other facilities in place to allow the comfort and privacy of victims.
We know that given the nature of sexual offences, special responses are necessary for survivors and victims. And the impact of sexual abuse or sexual violence has been long-lasting, emotional and psychological effects on the survivors. It preys on one's emotions, and it leaves behind the deepest psychological scars.
The Deputy British High Commissioner Ray Davidson commended the Supreme Court for establishing an advanced courtroom in the Berbice area.
This project and the one in Georgetown are essential and positive lifesavers. And with this in mind, I am delighted to say the British government will be supporting the setting up of the new Sexual Offences Court scheduled for Essequibo, I cannot say that word, Essequibo later in the year.
The project was completed at a cost of $13 million. The Sexual Offences Act Section 44 provides for the establishment of a Sexual Offences Court. President David Granger has praised the cooperation between Guyana and the European Union and has indicated that Guyana attaches the highest priority to those relations. Speaking at an event last evening to celebrate Europe Day 2019, the President said the EU has been a valued partner in human and economic development, particularly for small developing states.
The 11th EDF National Indicative Programme 2014 to 2020 for cooperation between the European Union and the Cooperative Republic of Guyana supports our efforts at climate resilience and disaster reduction. Guyana is optimistic that its strong historic relations with the European Union will contribute to the continued consolidation of collaboration and to cooperation with the wider membership of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group.
Guyana has benefited from trade and development cooperation with the European Union in diverse fields, including agriculture, coastal zone management, education, health, housing, and infrastructural development. President Granger said the EU delegation's presence in Guyana has facilitated the expansion of collaboration.
Europe's journey towards greater collaboration, peace, and prosperity was triggered in the wake of the World Wars by the Schuman Declaration of the 9th of May 1950, as you've heard before. Europe Day symbolizes Europe's quest for peace through economic cooperation and integration.
A new phase in partnership with the European Union is set to start from 2020 and will be based on the existing general policy framework by the European Consensus on Development, which is a blueprint which aligns the European Union's development policy with its 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. On the police blotter right now, this one gives a whole new meaning to hand wash hand, make hand come clean. A 20-year-old woman was arrested at the Luzaknan prison yesterday after she attempted to smuggle marijuana into the jailhouse. The woman, Althea Douglas, was at the prison to visit her fiancé, who is an inmate. Prison officers found the marijuana concealed in a number of blue soap that she had in her possession for her fiancé. In total, the marijuana weighed 19 grams. Douglas was immediately arrested by the prison authorities and handed over to the police. She's expected to face charges before the end of this week. In a statement last evening, the Guyana Prison Service issued a warning to persons visiting the prison facilities to desist from their efforts to smuggle contraband items into the jailhouses. In the courts now, 3 serving members of the Guyana Police Force found themselves before the court today facing serious charges. One of the 3 policemen, Kerwin Mingo, was charged with the alleged rape of a Brazilian woman in the interior region. He denied the allegation and was granted bail in the sum of $150,000. Mingo and the other 2 policemen, Xion Jones and Tevin Estraola, were also charged with demanding with menace a quantity of gold from some Venezuelan miners. It is alleged the 3 demanded the gold from the Venezuelan miners during an operation in the Mazaruni area. A report was made against the cops and statements were taken, and a decision was made to file the charges. All 3 of the policemen pleaded not guilty in the matter and were granted bail in the sum of $30,000. The matter will continue later this month. Across the Region is coming up next.
Friends with benefits!
Let's be friends with benefits.
The craziest concert to hit Guyana! Friday, 24th of May, 2019. We head to DCC ground. Let's Gibb Street, Queenstown. Friends with benefits!
Motor gasoline grades are determined by the octane rating of the fuel. The octane rating of a fuel is the standard measure of the performance of a motor gasoline. Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline is a high-octane premium gasoline. Fuel up and drive with Super 95 from Guy Oil.
Fuel it up and drive!
The last Inhale SOCU Block Party was a definite hit. There was like these fire breathers and stuff like that. Like they had conga lines and the whole vibe for the party was just perfect.
We had a blast. I did all of the base makeup.
You know the girls walking around with the gunny thing, spraying the shots in the mouth kneel down, see boys kneel down, put the foot, getting shots in the mouth.
They had some things that I've never seen before, which is these CO2 guns.
They literally had like a mosh pit in front of the stage. Everybody form a circle and people jumping in and dancing crazy, girls on the ground.
DJs, they were really good. That most of all made us enjoy ourselves.
The only advice I could give y'all is to definitely get your tickets early.
I will be there soon as Drew give him a free pass.
The SOCU Block Party, Friday the 17th of May.
Across the region right now, Grenada is now a shareholder in the financially burdened airline Liat. Barbados Today reports that the revelation came yesterday from Grenada's Minister of Trade. The Minister, Oliver Joseph, said he was pleased to announce that Grenada is now the 5th shareholder in the airline. The decision was taken following the latest round of meetings between airline officials and representatives from other shareholder countries. The major shareholding countries are Barbados, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Antigua and Barbuda, where the airline is currently based. Grenada's involvement comes as regional governments continue to seek out a viable restructuring plan to save the over 60-year-old island-hopping carrier from going under. In Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has called on Jamaicans to act decisively against all criminals, especially those who prey on children. In a statement, the Prime Minister said Jamaicans should not take the law into their own hands, but rather they should work with law enforcement to ensure that those who commit such horrible acts against the most vulnerable of citizens are brought to account under the law. Just 2 days ago, it was revealed that Jamaica is seeing an increase in abuse cases against children, including teenage boys. And finally tonight, international news. At least 7 people have been killed in a shooting at a prison near the Guatemalan capital, Guatemala City. Some 1,500 soldiers and police officers were reportedly sent to the prison to try and stop the violence. Another 20 people were injured in the gunfire and have been taken to a hospital for treatment. Officials said the incident was sparked by a fight between 2 inmates, one of whom was in an alleged state of intoxication. The prison houses at least 4,000 inmates, despite originally being built for only 1,000 people back in the 1970s. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.